we go. Imagine walking into your home, the aromatic smell of onions and garlic sizzling on the stove. Your mouth begins to water. Your stomach grumbles. Instantly, you're transported to your mom or grandmother's kitchen. Warmth permeates the atmosphere, nourishing your body and soul. There we go. Hi, I'm Dorene Hyman, and as an acupuncturist, a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, as well as a polarity practitioner, the focus of my work is to empower people, to give them new ways, new tools to be a director of their life. And I often work with food. So if you're feeling stuck in your life, you need to make a change, an effective way is to actually shift your relationship with your food, change your diet. So food, we know, is a necessity, and it certainly supports our physical being, but it also supports our energy and our spirit. So over the next few minutes together, what I'd like to do is look at our relationship with food. And I know that this is a very complicated, complex relationship in general, the metaphor of life. But if we tune into our senses and we are very present, we can have a different experience, a different relationship with our food. And in addition, I'd like to share with you one property today about the nature of food. So through that, I know we can shift our focus in life, we can change our moods, our emotions. We can really accomplish whatever we need to do when we have a strong relationship with food. And it doesn't matter whether you cook or you go out to eat, because the more knowledge you have about food, well, then the more happiness and awareness and good health you can bring into your life. So welcome to my kitchen. It feels like the right place to be doing this talk, because for me, this is where magic happens. And it's also an important place in my life. Cooking food is an integral part of my work and my way of being. So my relationship with food changed when I became pregnant the first time. I developed gestational diabetes, and I had to pay attention to what I was putting in my mouth. That was a new occurrence for me. When my daughter was born, I thought, not only do I have to take care of her, but I need to take better care of myself. So I knew I needed knowledge, more information. I got books, I did research, and I took classes at the Natural Gourmet Institute, which was started by Anne-Marie Colbin, who was a leader in the field of nutrition at that time. And I learned, I became aware, I changed my habits. And through this new awareness, when I became pregnant again, I didn't have gestational diabetes. I had changed my body, I had changed my chemistry. And that to me was amazing. Now, while I was at the school, I learned about balancing your meals and your food through the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. And this introduction was inspiring. I started working in my kitchen, experimenting, and one thing led to another, and it became a driving force that actually inspired me to go to school and study Chinese medicine. So you can see food not only changed my body, but it changed the path in my life. So I am so excited to always talk about this and share it with you. That's basically it. My work is centered around the idea that everything in the universe is energy, and food is energy as well. And when I work in my kitchen, I feel like the herbalist that I've studied that part of the medicine, where I combine things, elements, And then it has a synergistic effect in my body. And I become the alchemist, the magician. So, what I'm hoping today is that I can help you start to relate to food, perhaps in a new way, maybe reignite your excitement, experience it through a different lens, to stop and slow down. And maybe you'll have a new relationship with food. Does that sound interesting? Good, I'm seeing head nods, that's good. Okay, so when I began organizing my thoughts about this, I did a free form kind of outline that maybe I just thought I'd show up for a minute. And you can just see there's lots of lines and dashes, and it almost doesn't matter where it goes. It just says there are so many interconnections and interrelationships between all the properties of food that I thought, how am I going to pare this down to the essence? And I thought, all those directions, and then it hit me. Directions, directionality. That's the subject I'm going to talk about today. Directionality is how energy gets moved through our body through the food that we eat. So we'll discuss a little bit about directionality, and then we're going to do an experiment of eating food and seeing if we can connect with all of our senses and what it brings up for that idea of directionality. So diet is different for each individual. It changes from person to person, culture to culture, and it's going to change over your lifetime because we change. As we age, we're going to have different needs. And I thought, well, what if our bodies talk to us? Well, I actually think our bodies talk to us all the time. They send us messages. We just don't really listen until something is not right, till something is not feeling good. But if we learn to connect with the internal messages, well, we may not always eat perfectly, but we're going to have clarity of choices. So the act of eating is taking the outside world, bringing it inwards. And each food has an intrinsic nature. And when we connect with that nature, we become the magician, the alchemist, the creator. And in order to accomplish this, we need more than just connecting with the taste. I mean, taste preference, very important when it comes to food. And nutritional analysis, that too is important. That means looking at your carbs and proteins and fats. But ancient cultures understood that food is a whole thing. It's an essence into itself, and then it mingles with our systems. So it looks at that energy of food as a separate entity itself. Now, I first became connected with the idea of directionality. And while I'm telling you about this, I'm going to screen share. When I was at the Natural Gourmet Institute, let me put this up to share. And, let's see. Do we have, I'm not seeing this sharing. I open this. Are you guys seeing the slide or not?
No, I see your Google Drive.
You see my Google Drive, and it's not, you know what? I got a different way of getting there. So let me stop the share. And sorry, guys, that technical thing. Let me go back into the share so I can do this again. Go back here. Come to, sorry, you're hearing my thought process. Don't know why the computer is not. All right, let's do it this way. There we go. And can you guys, let me just one more time, sorry to be slow with this. Let's share that. There we go. All right, so this is a diagram, thank you. This is a diagram from Anne-Marie Colbin's book, Food and Healing. And I realized in the first few classes that I took, I was introduced to this idea of directionality. She worked with Michio Kushi. I don't know if you know his name, but he was the Japanese scholar who brought the idea of macrobiotics into the Western world. And she combined her ideas with his, and you can see there's two polarities. There's the expansiveness and the contractive nature of food. And I have a handout of this, so you don't have to really worry about what's on the list that much. You'll be able to examine it later. But on one end, on the contractive end, you'll see salt. And on the other end, you're going to see sugar and drugs, things that bring you into outer space. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is how Chinese medicine deals with this idea of directionality. It's really the same, they just use different words. So food can have either an ascending nature, bringing our energy up. It can bring our energy down. It can center us. It can bring our energy out into the world or make us go inward. And what's interesting about this is the way that food grows is often connected with this idea of directionality. So I brought show and tell. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you celery. It comes from the ground and it grows upward towards the sky. And so this has an ascending energy in the body. But, and here it's tied together, but this is collards. Collards, kale, their leaves go outward when they grow. And so they extend our energy outwards. Now I've got another one, broccoli. It's falling apart, my broccoli. Now take a good look at it. And if you can, type in the chat what you think when you look at broccoli. Where do you think the energy goes? Just take a wild stab at it, guys. That's very funny. Biceps. Yeah, and centering, and it goes, there's so much consolidation of the energy. Oh, I like that, the brain. There's so much consolidation of energy that it goes inward. Yeah. And I'm going to do one more, and I think this will be kind of easier. The broccoli was a little bit more tricky, but this is carrots. Where do you think carrot energy goes? And type it in the chat. Yeah, downwards. It's a root vegetable. It's even in the word, right? But we've got these carrot tops and they spread outwards. So if you cook with the carrot tops like parsley, they will, yes, it definitely has a descending energy. Absolutely. They're gonna spread out and go upwards as well. So how is this relevant in our life? I'll give you one or two quick examples, and then I'm gonna move on to the experience. So in my work, in my practice, people come in with digestive problems all the time. A common one is acid reflux. We talk about their diet. When they tell me what they eat, I often find they're eating foods that are ascending the energy. Well, their energy is already going up. So drinking coffee, alcohol, eating a lot of spicy food, that's going to continue to bring your digestive energy up. So the first thing I explain to them is we need to center and descend the digestion. So I suggest eating all sorts of grains like millet, oat, rice, or eating root vegetables like we just saw, carrots and tubers, and maybe eating, squash. That goes to your middle, and that's going to change how you're digesting. And then I thought about, here's an example. I'm holding a dinner party. It's not COVID times. We can now meet and we're going to have a dinner party, and I want everyone's energy up and I want to keep the conversation going. So I serve salmon Well, think about salmon. It swims strong upstream, so it's got a lot of vitality. And in addition, I'm going to make a chimichurri sauce, which has garlic and cilantro and parsley. All of those energies ascend. So I'm going to keep everybody awake and engaged. And then, in addition, I'm going to serve kale because I want everybody's talk to go outwards, to be sharing with one another. So do you see how food can change your focus, be used in your life to accomplish what you want? Cool. All right. So I'm glad most of you have your food. If not, you have your imagination and you're going to use that in our exercise. We're going to tune in to all of our senses. Oh, you know what, guys? I did forget one thing. If you have any questions, I know I'm behind on time and stuff with the technical things, type them in the chat. I'd love to hear what came up for you as you did this. And I will answer them. I love talking about this subject. So if we don't have time at the end, definitely I will reach out. I will answer you. I'll phone call you. I have a lot of fun talking about this. So we're going to experience our food through our senses. And we're going to do one sense at a time and really take our time with it, as much time as I can allot to it. And what I want you to also do, I was thinking about my daughter and when I first started to feed her and how I watched her face and could see the discovery in her eyes, in her mouth, how she chewed her food. So I want you to get your baby on with this. Go back to the first time. Thanks, Christy. Go back to the first time where you experienced your food or try to use your senses, but I don't want you to lose your experience, your life, and your memories. Just try to really be with it and slow down and discover. Before beginning, do a quick check-in. Just note how you feel. Where is your energy now? Are you antsy after sitting for 3 hours? Are you feeling like, yeah, I want to do this? Just note it. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is use our visual sense. Take a look at your food. Really be with it. See the shape, see the color, anything in the appearance that says something to you. We said, what if your food could talk to you? What's it saying to you? And I'd love for you to type in the chat, so that way we're sharing all along. I don't want to take you out of your experience, but that would be fun. Eat me, I love that. Cool. Brain food, nice. All right, next we're going to go to that sense of smell. So picking your food up, take a good whiff of it. Really be with it. Maybe you need another sense. Some foods have a strong smell and take you somewhere right away. Some foods take a bit of time. Some foods you won't notice until you cook them. Yeah. And then you can write that down as well. I'd love to know if that sense of smell brings something to you. You know, smell actually, the odors go to the amygdala in the brain. And oh, fun. And what it does is it actually brings up memories for you. Wood polish, interesting. Ah, very interesting. And by the way, I know that food has its own nature, but there are no wrong answers to this. It's just your observation, your experience. So don't be shy about sharing this stuff. Okay, now we're going to tune into texture and the feel of our food. So I don't know what you have since everybody brought something different, but see, can I pick it up? Can I feel it? Or is it mushy and I need some kind of utensil? Or if it's tea like Susie's drinking or that Gilad had. Notice the texture. Does your jaw have to work? What happens when I chew it? Can I hear the sounds in my head? Is it pleasing to me? Again, whatever comes up for you, type in the chat. And last, and I don't mean to rush you, but I'm looking at the time. At last, we're going to really taste it again. And this time, try to look for directionality. See if you can sense that. So take another bite of your food and chew it. Just be with it and notice what feelings come up, what sensations. Wow, that's very cool. Like a blanket, playful and descending. Nice. So you might notice it, you might not notice the energetic property right away, because sometimes we have to digest a little for food to actually go through our system, which is why I often tell people, keep a food journal. That way you can look at how do I feel directly after I eat it, a few hours later, and even the next day, it can have an influence on your energy and on your health. Wow, rice cake feels neutral. You know what? I bet it is kind of neutral. Yeah. So, more fuel, lots of fuel. Playful childhood memories, really nice. So think about how you felt when you first started the exercise. And now, do you feel any differently? I was curious. Wow, Sunil, that's really cool. So he was chewing. The first was the downward sensation, but then he noticed it moving upward and outward. Fiona said she feels more focused and more connected. Shelley says more connected. I love this. So you guys are starting to really notice. I'm curious. Well, a few questions I have for you. How was that for you? Energy opening up down to my belly. Was that interesting? Yeah. All right. All right. Good. I'm curious, what sense stood out most for you? Where did you connect most this time while you were eating your food? With smell. Yeah. That's very funny, Galad. Into consciousness and energetic quality. Wow. So my next question is, has your impression of the food that you brought changed when you stop, you slow down, you tune in, you add this element of directionality? Has that changed for you? I'm seeing some head nods, people saying yes. Very cool. Really cool. And were there any memories that got triggered for you as you looked at or smelled your food? Wow. I love the tree became part of me. All right. So, do you think you might be able to use some of these ideas in your life to slow down and use that thought about directionality? Just checking everybody out as I scan through. You can give me a head nod. I see people enjoying their food. That's good. Some yeses. All right. We're in business. The energetics of what we eat plays an important role in how our body digests, processes, and assimilates the food. If you take time and tune in with your senses, if you explore directionality, you're going to begin to notice your body's responses and messages a little more. You'll tune into your food, and you're going to add dimensionality, not only to your food, but to your life. And when we relate to the vibrational energy of our food, well, then we begin to understand that we have the power to affect our well-being. So when you value and have an understanding of food, you can become the director of your life, the alchemist, the magician in your kitchen. And even if you never cook, let's say you go out to eat, you order all the time, the more knowledge you have, well, you've got the tools so you can nourish your body and your soul. So, wrapping it up, I put together a form. So I'm going back into tech land, unfortunately. Let's see if I can manage it this time. I put together a form. Ah, there it goes. And I am going to upload a feedback form. And also the expansion and contraction form, so that you've got a little takeaway. You can download these things. I will put them on the LEI Facebook page as well, in case you don't do the download. So you've got access to it. And anyone who's here from outside of class, if you want to know, contact me. I'll put up some contact information afterwards. But the feedback form itself, I asked some questions about today, but I'm asking specifically about topics that interest you on the subject of food, because I plan on doing more. If you notice that that image had so many directions to go in, and I'd like to know what interests you. What would you be interested in learning? And you're going to help me form this class. So I'd appreciate that feedback. And there's the handout. And if you have any additional questions, I'm going to do one more screen share. And this time, go to my website and you can get my contact information. You can call me or write to me at dorenehyman@gmail.com, because I really love talking about this stuff. And so if anything comes up, please contact me. Yeah. So that's it, guys. We're done. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all your sharing and for just showing up on a Saturday.